Welcome to Fast Pace, the new growth, leadership and management podcast featuring Josh Phegan and Dean Mackie. We wanted to peel back the layers on what happens in the world of fast-paced real estate agencies, from new leadership models to the management challenges we all face each day. This is about a new era in the estate agency sector. Rapid changes to business models, service lines, remuneration and growth present the greatest opportunities that we've ever seen. Sit back, get inspired, grow your skills and reimagine what's possible with Fast Pace. Every Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Josh Phegan Digital. The pain of change. Dean, this was probably one of your first ever quotes to me, I think, when we first started working. And it's like, literally, Josh, it's got to be worth the pain of change. And I used to think a lot about that. And I sort of started to think about, why do people actually make change? And Ari Weinzberg wrote a great book on it. He said that literally people have either got to be dissatisfied, they've got to have vision, and they've got to be prepared to go and make more of the first steps happen to beat all of the resistance. You've changed a lot in the years, and you've also stayed very consistent around a whole heap of things. What actually is the pain of change? How do people determine if it's worthwhile actually paying it? And ultimately, what are some of the outcomes you can achieve if you are prepared to pay the price?
I must say I've seen you use that quote a few times in a few presentations, and I've had to sit back and laugh. But look, it does ring true. And I've always, what I said to you is that the pain, the benefit from the change has to outweigh the pain of change. And I think the problem is for a lot of people is that they don't actually understand enough or are clear enough in their mind around what the benefit really is. So most people, I find, make change when life sucks, i.e., they've dropped out of their comfort zone. It's almost like, and I think that's because people sometimes end up on the wrong side of change, i.e., I'm comfortable, I don't need to change, there's not much I need to do, everything's going well in my world, and I'm comfortable. But consequently, some things can change through that process. Technology might catch up, something might happen, it might become quickly outdated. And there's a number of examples that I can see with people, even inside my organisation, that are not yet fully up to speed with some of the changes that are happening in, say the data and tech space, and are still using antiquated tools. And consequently, it's because they haven't actually stopped off and they feel comfortable with the way they've always done it. And that's okay a bit, but at some point in time, the change has to be made. And I think that I sort of liken it to, while you're in that comfort zone, it's okay, and then people think, well, why should I do it? And then if something goes wrong and they drop into that world of it sucks, then they'll make the change to get themselves back in the comfort zone. And I actually flip it around and say, well, hold on, if you're in that comfort zone, that's really good, but how do we keep improving on purpose? So how do you keep improving your life on purpose? So change is not about just change for change's sake. Often people make change because they have to, not because they actually consciously want to. But if you've got a purpose, or if you've got a reason, or if you've got a vision around what you're trying to do, then that actually will help you drive the change. And if you understand and you're clear about what the outcome, and sometimes you're not even clear about it, but you have a hunch or you have a feeling or you have a sense of it, then making that change is you're doing it ahead of the curve. So you feel that pain, and often what happens to all of us in businesses when we're trying to make change, we're feeling the pain, and often our team are feeling that pain and they're resisting it because change management's really tough. There's a lot of layers to change management, and you need really good leadership and really good communication and a range of other things. But when that pain's going on, if people can't really connect to or see the potential benefit, then they're more likely to give up. I mean, if you think about it, you take someone going to the gym, they've got to get into that muscle memory and the habit, and it hurts and they're tired, and there's this physical change that they have to make. They have to make time for it. Number one, they have to commit to it. They have to, but they do it because they know if they keep doing it over a period of time, they'll see the benefit. Whereas if you sort of go into it and you sort of do it, and you don't develop a habit around it, then you have the pain but not really the benefit. And so I think that's what I mean by, the benefit has to outweigh the pain of change, but I guess you have to have a commitment to what you know is the outcome or the likely benefits before you're prepared to commit to any sort of period of pain.
The interesting thing I always used to sort of work through a 5-step sort of framework for change, and I'd say, okay, what's the problem that we're actually trying to solve? Number 2, let's develop some leadership agreement around what that actually looks like solved, and get really clear on that. Number 3, who's actually going to be impacted by these particular changes? Number 4, let's go and put an action plan in play of what would we do to actually roll it out if we were going to roll it out today. And then number 5, then we actually go and begin the change. And I think that what often happens is that we kind of lose confidence in change because it's like, hey, Dean, we're going to put in a new CRM. And so the principal goes to a conference somewhere, sees a great new CRM, comes back and goes, hey guys, guess what? We're putting all in a new CRM. And you don't realize that there's tons of stakeholders and people in that room, they've got very different preferences and
and the admin people don't know about it, and the property management people don't know about it, and all of a sudden there's apparently this new CRM and it doesn't work, and then you start go, well, change doesn't work around this place. So Dean, how important is it for people to be able to see wins from changes that actually happen inside of an organisation? And then, just thinking through that little process, how important is it to actually get stakeholders and what I got to call like reference clients, like people inside of the business who've made the change and can show that it works, to give people hope and to push them through those changes when they're going through those painful periods of actually adjustment?
All of the above is important, Josh. I look at it and I think about the number of changes. We've made some big changes in our business over the last few years, and those changes are still actually going ahead. And I've got to say to you, some of those projects, really big, heavy projects, where you're basically changing your infrastructure over to facilitate a new way of doing things, that's a big thing, right? And a lot of people are stuck in and attached to, the way that they've always done it. And so what I do know is that getting clear on what it is that you're going to improve and why. So you're talking about systems and CRM and process and all that, those things, they lead to a lot of things. But if you're right, if all those stakeholders don't understand it, then you're going to get a lot of resistance. And it's because, again, you're going to feel the pain well before you receive the benefit. So I think making sure that you're absolutely clear around your communication before you get into the how and the what, right? Because the how and the what's was what you were talking about there, is because is that change what's it going to improve? What's the benefit it's going to give? And I think change, if you look at it, there's a number of areas that change is going to add value. It could be an innovation piece. So you're saying, okay, well, we're doing this because it's innovation, and this innovation will deliver X, Y, Z. It's because change is about how do you bring new ideas to life. It could be a new idea. It could have never happened before. It might be a new thing, not something with any proof that it actually works, right? And so some of the changes that we've made, it's only now like a few years down the track that we're actually starting to see proof of concept and delivery of what that pain and to keep people aligned and keep people locked in and keep people on track as we're making those changes, because they're saying, well, look, we're doing a lot of stuff, but I'm not quite getting where the benefit of this is, right? And it's a matter of how do you keep the faith? So how do you keep people aligned so that you can prove these things up? And you are right, you might need a couple of key users or some key markets, or you need some test cases. And so we've been testing and trialling a whole range of things now, and the evidence is overwhelmingly positive. And it's only when you can actually connect that evidence back to demonstrate the benefit that people, all of a sudden, you do get a significant shift, because you've got people still holding on in the absence of evidence. So actually finding a way to create evidence all the way through for all stakeholders, so they can actually go, okay, I get it now. They get an aha moment. Because once that aha moment happens, it then moves quite fast. So learning how to manage that change and how to get some trials in place and how to prove up what you're doing is really important, because don't forget, change leads to so many positive things. It can improve your competitiveness in the lounge room. It can include your relevance to new markets that you might not have been relevant to. It helps you respond to challenges. Like if you're making change and you understand how to change regularly inside your business, and a challenge comes up, your business can actually deal with that quite quickly. But if you're not used to managing change and understanding and how to get your team engaged in that change process, then you can't respond as quickly as you need to those challenges. So if you've got a culture of learning, if you've got a culture of people having, wanting to take on new skills and those sorts of things, I think the process of change becomes a lot easier.
I'll give you one for us. When the pandemic happened, I wasn't allowed to fly anywhere, and I wasn't allowed to go and speak in audiences. I was like, geez, what? And the change was forced upon me. And I thought, I don't want to do Zoom. And then I realised I actually had to do Zoom. And then I thought, okay, how do I become the world's best at doing this? And then literally I couldn't sell days anymore, and it was back to selling hours. And, so I had to move that, and clients didn't want a full day anymore, so I had to spread it out. And then I was really hitting myself hard after the first 2 weeks. And my accountant said, it took you 12 years to work out your first business model. You're currently in the 2.5 week mark of your second business model. Don't be so hard on yourself. It'll work itself out. And I had it nailed by week 3. And so what I learned very quickly is that ultimately I now know how to move a lot faster. And ultimately that's okay. Just, don't worry too much about what's happened in the past. Just move quickly. And I kind of like that the whole idea is about get the vision really clear about what it is that we actually want, and then spend some time into making sure we deliver it.
Look, I'll say to this, I guess in terms of closing, I'd say, change is difficult because it disrupts the status quo, and that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. And I think what you've got to realise is that people do go through a lot of stress when you make change, and that's what I mean by pain. There's discomfort in there. It can be overwhelming for some, but what I've learned is that, if you're going to make change, you need to make sure your leadership team and you and yourself understand what those challenges are, because leadership upskilling for change management is quite crucial. You know, the amount of communication that you have and the type of communication you have about the progress around being clear and consistent is quite crucial through that change management process. So regular updates, but also the empathy and the support management as you're going through the change is quite crucial, because you know it's not easy for everybody to get it first time around. So you might even have a really clear vision in your mind, but other people don't actually get it until you've really been able to develop it and prove it and all those sorts of things. So I think, you know, making sure you've got a clear plan with clear timelines and making sure that you're collaborating and involving in your people is going to certainly help anything you do with change management.
And on a final note, I think about Eric Shinseki, the former US general. If you don't like change, you're going to like irrelevance even less.